Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. Okay, before I get into the stories for today, I have some exciting news to share for you guys. The people that care about the business growth, the business journey, you guys might care about this. But last week, we hit 100,000 podcast listens in a single week. That's a major milestone for us. So 100,000 downloads, streams, listens in 7 days. That is so massive. And sometimes when I say the numbers of our brand and like even saying that number, it feels fake because I still feel like we are literally the smallest podcast in the entire world. And we are absolutely niche. Like that's the truth for sure. But no, it feels like insane to say that. Those numbers, like if we consistently got that, that would make us one of the biggest podcasts in Australia, which is insane. So I'm really excited because we had some sponsors, over the course of that big period of growth. We had Blackbird and we had Bumble as well. So I'm very happy for our sponsors because that absolutely popped the fuck off. But yeah, it's so exciting. I can't believe that. I'm not even kidding. Like, just a few years ago, we were hitting like 5,000 listens a month, and I mean, this is before we filmed things and like kind of re-strategized our brand to be much more podcast first, of course, but still, like that is some massive growth. And you guys know, if you've been on this journey with us for a while, like this brand has been built slowly. Like we are slow and steady. We never had like an overnight success moment. We never had fast success. It has been built like brick by brick by brick, like for real. So to hit that number is so insane. And I'm so grateful and I'm so excited. In this journey, I honestly question if I am building something legitimate at all times. I'm always like, nobody cares about this. Nobody wants this. My ideas are stupid. Like, I'm sure that every single person that's trying to build something, have their own business, whatever, like feels that way all the time, especially when you're like in the trenches, which it feels like we are in the trenches a lot. So I constantly have that in my brain of like, what the fuck am I actually doing? So to see a number like that, like a huge milestone like that, it's very cool. In 7 days. 7 days. So please tell your friends about our podcast. We have to keep this going. We need this momentum to keep going. All right, let's get into the stories for today. So also I'm wearing my emotional support sweater. So I swapped out the Anine Bing for, this is like one of Sean's hoodies. And I'm sorry because I play with these drawstrings all the time when I wear this sweater. But it just has to be done. Okay, the first story that I have for you guys is that Bill Gates' daughter has been called out for asking for free influencer promotion for her new app. Bill Gates' youngest daughter, Phoebe, and her former roommate, Sophia Kiani, have launched a shopping app called Fia. I think it's Fia. It looks like Fia. It could be Fia, but I think it's Fia. They've been doing tons of high-profile press for this. They had a New York Times feature. They went on Call Her Daddy, like big stuff. So this is directly from The Verge. Quote, Fia is designed to help shoppers compare prices on listings of clothing, shoes, and accessories. Once you install the app or extension, a Should I Buy This button will appear when you land on a product page. Click the button and Fia will scour the web to compare prices to new and used listings of the same and similar items before telling you whether the price is high, low, or typical. Fia says it uses AI to analyze, quote, current market trends and compare them against a database of more than 250 million used goods from sites like The RealReal, Vestiaire, ThredUp, StockX, eBay, and Poshmark. So yeah, I was reading a little bit about this, and it seems that basically the big difference between this app and like a Honey or some of the other kind of like shopping price comparison discount apps is that they have a focus on thrifted clothes for this app. So I think the app had some traction, but now a popular luxury brand strategist and stylist, Jared Jenkins, is claiming that Phoebe reached out to him trying to get a free review of the app to post on his platform.
So Bill Gates' daughter reaches out to me. I don't know her, but she knows that I'm a luxury deal expert. So she reaches out saying, hey, I have this startup. We're focusing on deals, and I want you to review my product and give a review to your followers for free. Mind you, this is a service that I was charged thousands of dollars for, and she didn't even subscribe to my Substack. That's $5 a month, $30 a year, and they just signed up for the free tier.
He also claims the app just like doesn't really work very well, at least when he tried it, and he would have suggested to them that they not launch yet. He said he offered to be an advisor after trying the app and realizing kind of how glitchy it seemed. And that's how he responded, was like, I could be an advisor. And then he never heard back. I actually can't believe that we are still in the era of people trying to get free shit. Contra deals, I feel, are a little bit different, but this is an app that in theory is like available to everyone. I think they were offering him like a early access, but regardless, like it's going to be free. It's going to be available to everyone. It's different when you're trying to get someone to use your product, your app, whatever, when they don't like need it already, Like I'm not like against contra deals at all. We will consider contra deals when it's something that we really need. Like, for example, if the Commons, like our co-working space, wanted to work with us and give us like free rent, because they wanted some promotion in some capacity on the podcast or TikTok or whatever, like we would do that, because that's like a service that we actually need. This is not something that Jared needs. Like, she's trying to get him to download it and use it by saying like, I'll give you early access. Like, okay. And the influencer industry is hard because a lot of people do free stuff because there was early on, like I am not kidding, early days of like blogging and Instagram. The whole mentality was if a brand sees you doing free content for them, whether you have paid for the products yourself or you've engaged in a contra deal with them, and that content does well, then they will partner with you in the future. And I'm sure that still kind of happens, but it is not a consistent or like a reliable strategy. But because of this advice that everybody would give back in the day and this mentality that everybody had, so many creators still do free stuff. And I think that has been very much to the detriment of the industry. Now, when it comes to the app, I understand launching a minimum viable product and having work still to do like along the way. That is part of like startup culture, is you kind of just have to like launch and figure it out as you go. Otherwise, you'll never launch. If you're waiting for it to be perfect or for all the bugs to be fixed, like you will literally never launch. If you think about all the biggest apps that we use, they are constantly making us update because they are constantly fixing bugs. Obviously, the apps are still like doing what they say they're going to do, but this is still like a new app, right? So I understand being like, we need to just launch, we need to just get out there. But I think the difference here, if what Jared is saying is true, that like the app doesn't really work and didn't really work for him, I think the difference here is that Phoebe and Sophia are a lot more high profile than like your typical young tech founder. So the bar will naturally be higher for them when they launch. And that's okay, because the barrier to entry for them as Bill Gates' daughter was significantly lower. It reminds me of when influencers or celebrities launch brands or products and it doesn't go well, and some of the conversation will be around like, well, why aren't they allowed to make a mistake? Well, they're allowed to make mistakes, but like the bar is higher for them because they're already going in with this like huge advantage. So far, at the time of recording, Phoebe has not responded to Jared's allegations. I feel like she's not going to. But yes, I will keep you guys posted if she does. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is that Austin McBroom has responded to Catherine Paiz's book expose. Austin McBroom of the Ace family is going off the deep end, again, trying to defend himself against his ex-wife's new book coming out on July 1st. I mentioned this yesterday, but the first few chapters of Catherine's book were seemingly released or leaked, and in these chapters, she allegedly speaks about her experience being cheated on by Austin. And I guess Austin is confirming that those chapters are probably real because he's responded on Snapchat, and as you can imagine, it's unwell. He posted videos saying he's blindsided because he and Catherine have an amazing co-parenting relationship. Okay, I get that, maybe being a little bit surprised, but like she's still allowed to tell her story and she's still allowed to share like what he did to her even if they have a good relationship now. In this video, he also confirms that he did cheat on her, saying he stepped out of his marriage, but said he voiced his issues with Catherine, saying he felt like she gave him no affection. And they actually had a year where they didn't have sex, he says. So he was kind of like trying to justify it by being like, well, I told her that I wanted more affection from her. We never had sex. So like, what was I supposed to do? It's giving Sandoval so bad. I'm sorry for like continuously referencing VPR. It's obviously just top of mind for me at all times. And because I just finished rewatching all of the Scandoval season, I cannot stop seeing Scandoval situations and men like Sandoval who are acting in the way that he acted during Scandoval, like everywhere. You don't cheat because you feel like the person that you're with doesn't give you intimacy or doesn't like you anymore or whatever. Like, just break up with that person. If you have such a big issue with that and you can't see a way that it's ever going to get fixed, like, you don't stay in the relationship and just cheat. Get out of the relationship, go to therapy. Like, there's so many options. And like trying to flip this and be like, well, she was the one that wouldn't give me affection. I'm the victim here. I was forced to cheat. Insane. So he also said that he thought she was okay with the cheating because she said to him when they were talking about this, like, just don't embarrass me. So he took that as like, just do what you want, but like, I don't want the public to know, like, don't embarrass me publicly. He says that she knew he was cheating and still stayed with him for another 5 to 6 years despite this. Again, like, who knows how long she knew he was cheating for? It's very much going to be like a he said, she said situation. I'm going to assume that Austin McBroom was hearing what he wanted to hear, making some assumptions based on like what Catherine was saying to him. Because of course, like, then you get to be guilt-free. You get to cheat guilt-free. If you have convinced yourself that your wife's response to your cheating is like, oh, just do what you want. Like, of course, then why would you not try and like delusionally convince yourself of that? I also think it's okay even if in that moment, like, she did know what was happening and she still stayed with him. Now she's been out of this relationship for a long time. There was so much wrapped up in that relationship, like their whole life, like their business, like their online presence, like everything was all tied up, you know, with that relationship. So yeah, I can imagine that like now unraveling her entire being from the Ace family and Austin, I imagine she's going through a lot of like self-discovery and like realization. And that's also okay that like now she's had some distance and she's like, whoa, what the fuck was I doing? You know? Okay, then he played voice recordings that he took, and it is unclear if Catherine knew that these were being recorded, but in the recording, it was from January 2024. And so it was like amid their divorce. And he says that he was going to make a video explaining that he did step out on their marriage. And then like in this recording, you can hear Catherine say basically like, don't post it, you'll get a lot of backlash. So he's playing this to be like, well, why would you tell me back then not to post it because I'll get backlash, but now you're writing about it in this book knowing that I'll get the backlash. So he's like, all she wants to do is like monetize this for herself. I have no doubt that being married to Austin McBroom is literal hell. And I think no matter how we feel about Catherine, I think if she wants to monetize her story about what she went through being married to that demon of a man, then she can do that. The only caveat I will say there is like, I do fear for the children, but I don't have kids. So like, I don't know. I can't speak to the fact that like, if you're a parent, you should keep everything, you know, inside or private, like amongst like your friends and family, and never be public about any of your stories because, you know, you might hurt your kids. Like, I don't know. I don't have kids. I have no idea what I would do in that situation. That's the only like small thing where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe. But like, I don't fucking care about Austin. I don't care about Austin. Who cares about you, Austin? Shut up. Okay, the last story that I have for you guys is that Nylon is launching a free invite-only club for young people to challenge the traditional revenue model of digital media. This is like a rogue digital media story that I've thrown in. I know some of you guys like when I talk about the industry, so I thought I would share this tea because I was pretty interested in this as well. So Nylon is launching Nylon, like the magazine, like they're like a digital publisher now. I don't even know if they do print anymore. Did they ever do print? I'm so confused. They went digital only in 2017 and then in 2024. I think they relaunched print. Anyways, the magazine. So they are launching a membership-only program at the end of 2025. It's invite-only. It's free to join if you're invited, but it is invite-only. So CEO of Bustle Group, which owns Nylon, Brian Goldberg said, quote, "We're going to bring together thousands of the most influential young tastemakers in America into a membership, and the brands will pay us to get adjacency with this incredible community of influencers. Our goal is to ultimately get this program to 50,000 influencers with an average of 100,000 followers each, which would get us to a 5 billion reach." So this model essentially is similar, especially because it's free for invite-only members. This model is similar to the controlled distribution model in the magazine print days, where a specific group of people that advertisers wanted to get in front of, let's say it was finance people or people in IT or whatever, they got sent magazines or print issues for free, and the advertisers were paying obviously to be in these magazines and have their ads and their brand sent to these people in these industries for free. This also differs from other invite-only membership programs because you don't have to pay. So there are a lot of those, Soho House is a good example, or there's a lot for entrepreneurs where you get invited based on your status in the industry or based on your company's revenue or whatever, but you have to pay. So I do like that this is free for the people that they invite. I think that does make it, it's going to make it more appealing to people who get invited, but also it just feels more ethical, I think, even though I understand because the people that they're going to invite are going to already be probably rich/famous people, but it just feels more ethical than asking them to pay. I don't know. He also said that media businesses have not embraced community enough, and I could not agree more. I actually talked about this when I did that big presentation about the brand at Sunrise a couple weeks ago. I talked about how a couple years ago, Centennial pivoted to almost fully community-based publishing, which essentially just means we deprioritized our .com, we deprioritized anything for clicks, and we went all in on building a culty audience who specifically know who we are, come for us. It's not just people Googling what happened between Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield and then clicking on the article on our website, reading it, and leaving. Because I was saying we could have literally 10 million users on our website every single month, and advertisers did not give a shit about that. And users don't really give a shit about that. That's not building an audience of fans, of people that actually care about your brand and what you're putting out. That's just people that those are just eyeballs. Those are just people that are reading the story because they want the tea and leaving. So I talked in the Sunrise presentation about how we went all in on that. And then of course, launching Mini Scroll was kind of replacing our daily publishing on our .com. Because we used to publish news stories every single day on our .com and a couple opinion pieces a month. And so now obviously launching Mini, bringing all of our daily news to a podcast where now we're actually building an audience that cares about us, knows who we are and cares. And it's just been transformative. And it's so true. The community, if you can figure out how to build a community as a media brand, as a publisher, truly people who are fans of your brand, then that is the key to success and longevity. And I think with traditional media, unfortunately, young people don't trust big names because they just feel faceless, we're all used to having parasocial relationships with creators, TikTokers, we want to have a face to the name, and just these big brands that we don't know, they're just faceless. That doesn't no one can connect with that. Even Vogue, we all know who Anna Wintour is, it's not I don't necessarily connect with Anna Wintour, but I understand who is behind the brand, which is also why in media, in digital media, which we talked about, what was it last week? I was talking about, oh yeah, it was in the Try Guys situation where they said nobody would, at BuzzFeed, they wouldn't let people have jobs outside of, or freelance work or whatever, outside of BuzzFeed. And I was saying I have so many friends in digital media who really struggle because they want to do more influencer-y type content or whatever, and they're not allowed to. And it's if you just let your employees be influencers too, because they already have a lifestyle that's so similar to that. They're already testing all these products, they're already doing all these things. And I get it. Like, I understand from a business perspective, like the fear of like a conflict of interest. However, allowing employees to do their own, like to build their own personal brand, that is what's actually going to bring like relevancy back to traditional media, is if people are connected to the editors like influencers, like they used to be. And then all of these media companies put in these clauses in everyone's contract where like they can't do any like self-promotion like that. They can't do any freelance work. They can't do any influencer stuff, whatever. So then that all kind of went away. And it's like, that's actually what's going to get them back into relevancy, is if people know the face behind these brands, right? These like big publishers. That's a tangent. Okay, so the other thing though that I wanted to talk about with this story is, so I was talking to one of my other friends that owns like a digital media brand, like an independent digital media brand. And I was like, this is interesting. They're going all in on these like kind of tastemaker events, whatever. And you hear that all the time in media, all the time. One of the number one pieces of advice that people give me about like revenue and like diversifying is like, get into events. It's like, I'm not an events company. But yeah, my friend was like, why is it that media feels like one of the only industries where you have to constantly be changing your revenue model, like legitimately every 2 years? Like, of course, there's always fluctuations in every industry, every market, especially with the rate of tech and everything now. Like, of course, every industry has to evolve and adapt, but media is one where it is like the goalposts move constantly so much. It is so difficult to monetize in media. And I feel like until you're in it, or unless you're in it, like you might not realize that, because it seems like you see influencers, they make so much money, or these big companies like Barstool or whatever, BFF's podcast, like they have so many ads. The 1% is making like a bajillion dollars, and then no one else is making any money. And so yeah, my friend was like, okay, sure. So now we all have to be events companies? But I thought that was some interesting industry tea. It actually gave me some stuff to think about, especially as we grow a bigger audience, a cultier audience, something to think about. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 YouTube subscribers. I love you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow for Mini Tech Scroll. Bye.